All right. Now we're on to episode 24.
Mhm.
So I guess let's begin with more football, right?
Yeah, it was really the only
Sounds
thing
like a
going
plan.
on this weekend.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the first game. Link, I had to talk about it. Now it's your turn.
Right. You might as well go ahead and when you do the timestamps, this is start right here. You should probably just go ahead and timestamp, make a chapter for this entire rant nonsense about the Titans. So just a heads up because it may be long. All right. So the Titans and Bengals played divisional round. This is the first game of the divisional round. Nissan Stadium. Titans looking for their first home playoff win since 2003. I said 2002 last time. It was actually for the 2002 playoffs, but it took place in 2003. Anyway, that was the classic game against Pittsburgh where they lost in overtime on a roughing the kicker. Anyway, very nice day in Nissan. Go ahead and I'm trying to set the setting here for this nice story I'm about to tell y'all. I will say this: Nissan Stadium, when it's like at full capacity, definitely one of the more underrated home field advantages in the NFL.
They had some good shots. Yes, that while I was watching.
I remember it was like really
I
loud.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
But so what happened? So we don't even have to go any far to see anything noteworthy. First play of the Titans of the game, really of regulation. Tannehill interception, and it wasn't a pretty one. I thought it was going to set the pace for the rest of the game, but it kind of did. But at that point, it's like, okay, you know what? Opening interception. Let's just try to hold him on defense, and we did. Held him to a field goal. Shouldn't have been a field goal though because we got him on 3rd and 14. Right, we got a big sack that would have put him out of field goal range. However, there was a delay of game on the offense. They didn't whistle it down until after the play, so they just redid 3rd down. So they got back into field goal range, and they were already up 3-0. And what followed was a nice 3-and-out by Tennessee. Yada yada yada. Derrick Henry came back, and he definitely was there. Definitely played like he wasn't at 100%. But I'll get more into that later.
You know who did play like a monster though?
Yeah, but I mean,
AJ Brown.
Yeah, definitely. I'll
that was ridiculous.
That. One of the best performances I've seen in a while from a Titans player in the receiving area. He had 5 huge. He was open a majority of his pass. He was on his targets. That's the crazy thing. He was wide open.
He only had like 5 receptions too, right?
Yeah, I mean he had I think he had 2 drops, but other than that, really very good performance, including a very spectacular one-handed catch for the touchdown late in the game. But anyway, let's talk about the thing that pissed me off most about this game. The fact that we killed Joe Burrow throughout the entire game and it didn't result in any points. So the Titans, the D-line killed the Bengals. Now, this was known before this game started. I even even tweeted it out. These two teams don't really have very good O-lines. And it showed. Well, on the Bengals side, it showed. Titans O-line actually held their ground a bit. But the Bengals, like Christ, they couldn't stop a parked car from getting through and hitting Joe Burrow. That's how bad it was. And that's what really upsets me most about this game. And we had 9 sacks. That was it was tied for the record of most sacks in a playoff game by a team. I think the last team to pull off that performance was like, I don't know, some team I forgot. I think it was 92 Chiefs or 91 Chiefs, whatever. But I mean, everyone had themselves a day. Simmons had 3 sacks to his name. I mean, he had
one that got taken away as well, I think.
Right. I think that was what I was talking about at the beginning of the game. But this game really boiled down to one thing, and that was the Ryan Tannehill quarterback play. He had really one good drive on him, and that was the drive before halftime. He got better going into halftime than he did at the start of the game. I mean, he was throwing good passes. I mean, most of them were to wide open receivers, but don't really talk about that. At least he's getting them, at least he's targeting them to, not double coverage people. Unless, I mean, that will happen later, but for now, yeah. But I gotta get back on track. So where was that? Speaking of that drive, let's go ahead and talk about that, the touchdown drive. The biggest controversial thing that some people are making such a big deal out of for no reason, it was Rabel's decision to go for it to go for the 2-point conversion.
Oh yeah.
Which
No, I was discussing that so heavily after the game too. That was pervasive.
At the end of the day, knowing the final score, it didn't matter. But Mike Vrabel is known for his aggressiveness.
Well, it kind of did, because this is gonna be it's still kind of a reach, because granted it happened so much earlier. But if they had the lead, they wouldn't have had to go for it. They could have just kneeled and ended the game instead of giving it over back to Cincy for the ending drive.
I mean, I will say, that's fair. That's completely fair. But
again, it's crappy logic, because it happened so much earlier. You're just looking for excuses. So it's not really like a good argument. I'm just saying, should have been 17-16. I'm just saying.
I mean, the execution. I mean, it's not like the execution was wrong on it. I mean, it was by an inch. We didn't get in, and we're at the 1 yard line. Why not? Just go ahead and take it. Vrabel. I mean, he's known for shenanigans like this. He'll take a 2-point conversion when needed. He will. He'll pull a fake point out once in a while. But you know what? At the end of the day, that wasn't the huge problem here. I could definitely attribute it to a lot of play calling mistakes on behalf of the Tennessee Titans, including, but not limited to, the second half. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the second half. The Tannehill second interception. They got a good drive going, but however, right before the play happened, I said they're going to pass it here, and Cincinnati's going to know about it. What happens? They know about it. Tannehill immediately throws to, I think it was Julio, who was supposed to catch it. It was supposed to be like a quick wide receiver, like a bubble screen kind of play. But I forgot who it was for the Bengals. He immediately read the play. So predictable. Interception. Almost went back for a touchdown. And I hate Todd Downing. I seriously do. Going from Arthur Smith to him is such a downgrade in every sense of the word. So, moving on. The defense, like I said, they played good. They played very good, actually. Best performance of the season, definitely. With the 9 sacks, and guess what? There were good defensive stops. There were good pass breakups. There was a really, really nice interception, which, will be debated to the day if it was an interception or not. By, I think that was...
Was it Fulton, or was it someone else? Or was it Molden?
I think it was Fulton.
I think it might have been Fulton, yeah.
But, that was a really close one. However, it was an interception. I will say it wasn't like a clear-cut interception. It was definitely
But the ruling on the field was an interception, right?
It was definitely close. And I will say, he did get his hand under the ball before it hit the ground and maintain possession of the ball. So I feel like that's an interception right there.
Yeah.
But you know what? That would be debated. They scored a touchdown after it, and the Titans won this game. That we would be debating that all the time. But getting down to the nitty gritty of it, the Titans had to get a 4th and 1 on the Cincinnati 35. Now let me remind you, Henry's awesome, right? But however, I feel like definitely should have given it to Foreman. He barely played, but had a lot of yards to his name. He had 4 carries. He had 66 yards. very good for the day, but he wasn't on the field. They put Henry on the field. On the 4th and 1, you put Henry on it, right? Definitely not the issue there. But also, I could issue the play calling there. Another predictable play. The Titans were abusing the hell out of off tackles and just stretch plays, like all day. And the Bengals read it. And guess what happened? Turnover on downs. Wasn't even close. Wasn't even close. And then I guess I'll go ahead and wrap it up here because, like, Jesus Christ, I think this is the most. I think definitely the most angry I've been with the Titans like ever because there was so much riding on this game. And I will say this: debate me all you can, but we should have won this game. This was definitely we won this game. You definitely did until we didn't.
I don't know. It was pretty up in the air, honestly. Both. I mean, it was an uphill battle for both offenses, and thus kind of a downhill battle for both defenses. So it's kind of really just who got the momentum on the last drive, and it just ended up being Cincy.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, yeah, that's fair. But, especially on the defensive side, with how our defense performed, how we killed Joe Burrow the entire game, I don't know how, but we lost. This was our game to win. And that shows on the final drive of the game between both teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2-minute
I mean,
warning
yeah.
when the Titans had the ball. I was like, all right, Tannehill 2-minute drill. He's done this before. Let's see what happens. And he throws the double coverage, interception. The Bengals had the ball with about, I think, less than a minute to go. It's like, okay, guess what? The D-line's going to be good. They're going to do fine. Or the secondary is just going to give up a big play. It have them go out of bounds. And they're in field goal possession.
I mean, the crowd's the blame got to go on Tannehill because, I feel like people are going to really start to underrate him. I mean, I feel like people are already starting to underrate him because of this game, which happens to every quarterback who struggles in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But, he's been a really solid quarterback for 3 years now. And sure, you can say whatever you want about, it's starting during, odd seasons and weird samples and stuff like that. But he's definitely a very good quarterback. There's no denying that. Even shitty division aside, you can't be showing up to this against the Bengals, even with they got nice little secondary there. They got Bates and God, I don't know I forget who's their good quarterback. Salt.
Awuzie.
Yeah. I mean, even you got a good secondary like that. It's no excuse to go out with the game that he did, and especially with his weapons. I mean, Derrick Henry clearly was still kind of getting back into the swing of things, but I don't know. It was a flashy game at best, and that's just not what you want if you're playing if you're playing your first game of the playoffs, or first game, or if you're the 1 seed in the playoffs, and especially against the 6 seed. I don't want to say they got I don't want to say they got cocky or anything like that. I don't know, just didn't seem to be in the cards, and I don't know, I think ultimately that kind of lands on Tannehill more than anyone else.
Yeah, and in the end, I feel like a lot of people are going to act like, oh man, this proved a lot of the narratives right about the Titans being this very weak 1 seed, but in the end, they played well. Like Link said, in the end, they just really beat themselves.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
Tannehill went from one of the more efficient quarterbacks of 2020, top 10, I'd argue, in fact, to a liability on the field in this season. It definitely showed. I don't think there was I think there were 2 games in this season where he didn't have a fumble or interception or any sort of turnover. I'm pretty sure. Two games out of possible 17.
Jesus.
Like that really says a lot.
Now, do you think if, AJ Brown and Julio are healthy next year, that number will cut to a certain extent? Can you trust that?
I think so, but I don't know. I'm not completely 100% because remember, even with Julio and Henry and all our weapons in, he's still throwing interceptions.
Yeah.
So I don't know about this.
I think Tannehill's still going to be a good quarterback next year. It's just it's getting increasingly more difficult for me to be able to trust the Titans to build a really good offense. I don't know, like it just down the stretch. I mean, they're still a really good team on paper, and I said this earlier this year. I'm like, it's hard to just see anyone really surpassing them because they really had all the boxes checked. It's just I don't know. O-line help, they definitely had, though they definitely aren't, they definitely have holes, but they aren't invincible. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that this team still has a long way to go to convince me of anything really that serious.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if they beat the Bengals, I think they were going to get blown out by the Chiefs next week anyway, and it would have been at their home stadium, which would have been even more demoralizing. So I don't know.
But
It would have.
making it to
It's
the
tricky.
championship game. I mean, think about it, that's 2 AFC championship game appearances, 2 in the last 3 years. That still would have put good morale amongst the fans, the ownership, and all that. The locker.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's on a hot seat or anything. It's just, in my eyes, it's just getting increasingly hard to trust the Titans. Maybe I'm just a little bit biased. I mean, we've seen teams prove the doubters wrong eventually, but I don't know. It's just for me, it's just getting more difficult.
But I guess okay. Well, I guess I'll wrap it up with the final drive of the game. Like I said, the Titans defense give for I think it was to I forgot who it was. Shoot, was it the Landry? I think maybe.
Was it Chase
No.
Higgins?
I forgot, but I think it may have been Chase because of course it was.
Yeah.
Because you know what, he had himself. I mean, when Joe Burrow let him get the ball, he had a really good day. Definitely think that.
Yeah, him
But
and AJ Brown, they were the stars of the show on the offense.
it was
On the
really nice to
offensive
see.
side. Yeah.
But now they're tight. Now the Bengals set for the field goal. This is going to be for overtime or not. The game or overtime won't be the last time you'll hear that phrase this week. That phrase this weekend. Mike Vrabel, I love you. You definitely should win Coach of the Year this year. I absolutely 100% believe this. No matter the outcome, no matter really what the outcome of this.
I think he will. His only competition is LaFleur, and you got to be like a big believer in the Packers being a significantly more well-coached team in the regular season than the Titans, because you're not going to use the playoff argument to degrade either of them, because that's just extremely hypocritical.
Yeah.
Okay. But I love you, man. You had a timeout. Why didn't you ice the kicker?
Oh yeah, that was weird. There were
was
so many opportunities for that in the playoffs too, and it was like not even outside of this game. It was just, I don't know, it was weird.
like you had that's the thing. They had the timeout. Why didn't they use it? I did not understand. But it could have at least not been as bad as it was when he hit when it was when the announcer said good, and then I just kind of gave up. I threw my Jake Locker jersey on my I just threw it against the wall and just kind of I didn't watch football for the rest of the day. I didn't get to see the Packers game because I was just demoralized by this loss.
Yeah, no, I understand. I was just like that.
Fair enough. But it sucks. I definitely think we won this game in a lot of aspects.
Yeah.
That's the worst part about this game. I felt like we played better defense. I felt on some of our offensive drives we played better than the Bengals on offense. On like the 2 touchdown drives, I honestly believe they were better than anything the Bengals could come up with on any of their offensive drives. Because they didn't really get a lot. I mean, they more or less capitalized on the turnovers for field position. They didn't really go deep down the field, which that's what really sucks about this loss then. That's what makes it worse, honestly.
Yeah.
Now we're looking at, I know like Titans fans are wanting the head of Ryan Tannehill and wanting us to draft potentially a project quarterback in this upcoming draft. I don't know about that. Tannehill, I think he is on the Titans. His contract ends in 2024, which honestly is a really good time for that, I guess I don't think this upcoming draft is a good idea I don't think it's a good idea to really draft the next project quarterback in this upcoming draft because I mean, the quarterback class isn't really that super good, so
Yeah.
just gotta wait and see. I don't know, but yeah, this is super sad. And I'm not gonna take away like I did. There's definitely some takeaways from the Bengals. You know, I could really hate the Bengals for this game, but I don't because all they did. I mean, it's not like they just crushed us, but I mean, they just really, like I said, just more or less capitalized off Tannehill's incompetent interceptions and just incompetent play calling in general. I mean, when Joe Burrow got the ability to pass the ball, he was good. He was really good. You know, like I said, when Mixon got the opportunity to run, he ran. When Chase got the ball, he did what Jamar Chase does.
Yeah.
That's what absolutely sucks about this, and I hate it. This is definitely, definitely the worst Titans loss I've seen in the playoffs, like probably ever. Then again, I haven't really been on this earth a lot,
Yeah.
or for a long time. I think what I have. I mean, what other games are there to really compare? I guess the AFC Championship game, which we were destined to lose anyway. Like, I don't know, 2017 or 2018 division round against New England, which we were going to lose anyway.
Yeah.
Freaking 2009 against Baltimore that's probably like because we lost that game in the same fashion by a field goal and late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, I don't really see the Titans being significantly deviating from where they were this year because their division still sucks.
That's how we're gonna get in the playoffs next year. But I feel like this playoff performance right here kind of just tells like, okay, the Titans will be will be a playoff team, and really nothing more. Not Super
I mean,
Bowl,
sure,
not
but
conference champion.
I mean,
Just
sure,
there.
but like you have to, I feel like people are going to just start like trying to freaking out and trying to fix this team too much. I don't know. I still think they have a team that's capable of winning in the playoffs. I mean, Tannehill, seeing him have a good game in the playoffs is not the wildest thing you ever heard of. But it's just that this year was just just a struggle, and I feel like they're always going to get and I feel like I might become off a little hypocritical saying this, but they're good. They're always going to get tagged for playing in that shady division. But again, I know I did say that I'm not being sold on that offense, but I don't know. They really don't have to do that much to really convince me. I mean, they have a lot of really good pieces, and I'm not denying the talent that's just been on that. That's just on that team. How much better they've gotten. I mean, they've still got really good draft capital. I mean, it's just it's definitely a team that's still got a lot to go for. It's just. Yeah, it just didn't happen this year, really. And honestly, you kind of just gotta tip your cap to the Bengals.
Yeah.
If I was a Titans fan, that's basically what I'd be doing, and just putting my head down, waiting for next year. Because I mean, what really more can you do? It's not like this is the tipping point of contention for him or anything. I mean, this team is aging, but
There's
I don't know.
still a couple
They
years
still got a
left,
lot to play for. Yeah, a lot to play for.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not mad at the Bengals. I'm just mad at ourselves. But
Fair enough.
hey, maybe we can win the Aaron Rodgers
I understand.
stakes if it ever happens.
Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, is it time?
Oh yeah.
It's time. Well, I didn't watch this, so y'all have to.
All right, I think Steven will take even greater pleasure than I
was
will.
watching. Dude, no, I was so happy watching this game. I drove my entire family out of the room while we were all watching it. I'm single-handedly. I was that pumped, dude. When Rodgers threw that ball to Adams downfield and he missed it, I was like running around my house screaming.
All right, Steven. I'll let you take away the game summary because you're very happy about this.
I'm not gonna go play by play like Link because Link's
that
done
was
more
like super detailed, but like
Yeah, good for. I'm not criticizing you or anything, Link. It's just a flaw of my bad memory. But this was kind of a shit show game too. I'll be honest. Only that this time it was worse because the gap between the Bengals and the Titans is like miles closer, in my opinion, than the gap between the Packers and the Niners. And sure, you can give me this argument that that the Niners have that they're really good defense, that their D line was really prepped to stop Rodgers because like the Packers didn't have Bakhtari. But like, I mean, still, I talked about this last week too. They had a lot of great complementary pieces that served the team well. Like last year, like they really didn't have too many weaknesses going to the playoffs. And I mean, they had Jair Alexander come back on limited role. They had a lot to going for him, and they just could not get it done. They had the first drive, they got a touchdown, and after that, it was like after that, I was like, oh my god, the Packers got this in the bag. And I predicted the Packers were going to win that. That one. It wasn't an intentional reverse jinx, but I'm not gonna not take credit for a reverse jinx with the Packers. They call me Alex Rodriguez. Some people do. But I mean, yeah. After that, it was kind of just downhill. I mean, the Niners, they didn't really get anything going too. And honestly, this game was just really such a shit show. There were a lot of questionable plays on both ends, in my opinion. And Rodgers was, I don't know, there was always it seemed like no one could really get a strong drive going. Like it never really felt like the Packers were really just playing so terribly. I mean, obviously, look at the score. It's like, what the hell is going on? But you watch the game, and it's like, and Aaron Rodgers. That never really happens with Aaron Rodgers because he's usually pretty consistent, but they just could never get a drive going. And then the Niners slipped it over, and they got Jimmy Garoppolo, who's just still I'm just not a big Jimmy G guy. But I mean, he was manageable. And I mean, they just kept going back and forth. And ultimately, what was the difference maker, you might ask? Oh, it was the Packers special teams, which single-handedly allowed the Bears to score 24 points. And like in a game they lost by like 40-24. I don't even remember what the final score of that game was. It was ridiculous. No, but the special teams was the only reason the Bears were able to secure that. I mean, the Packers special team is so unbelievably it is hysterical to watch how bad they are. Like normally you watch pump blocks and it's like once in a generation thing, like missing like watching someone miss the extra point. But with the Packers, it's like on an everyday occurrence. And this level in the playoffs, it's just like it's disgusting. I mean, I know Crosby got blocked, and then they're punting close to their own goal line, going back out to the 50-yard line. They block that. No one has any idea where it's going. I forgot who picked it up. And then the Niners get a surprise touchdown. My dad actually looked away from the screen for 1 minute. 1 minute he looked away from the screen. He looked back and he saw the game was tied. Like, wait, what happened? I was like, no. I was like, just rubbing my hands together. I was like, let me tell you a story. But yeah, that tied it. And then it was that final drive, that infamous play, that Devontae Adams deep ball. And let me tell you, Saul can attest to this too, but I can attest to this infinitely more than you, Saul. I'm not saying this, no offense or anything. But when you see Rodgers drop back and step forward, that is the worst thing you could possibly watch on your TV as a Chicago sports fan. There's no worse feeling than watching Aaron Rodgers take 2 steps forward in preparation of that deep ball. And he launched it for Adams. And every time Rodgers launches a deep ball, you can tell it's going to hit the target, even if it's a drop. So I'm obviously picturing this is going to be like a 50-yard catch for Adams. But no, he was double teamed significantly. He was smothered. There was no chance. His best chance, the PI call, he couldn't get it. I think it bounced off I think he just bounced off his hand or his arm. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
But he had 2 open receivers. I know Lazard. I don't know who the other one was. Was it Lewis or was it another wide receiver? Was it like Valdez Scantling? I don't even remember.
The one he had open, I think he had Lazard open.
I think he had 2 guys open though.
I know one of them was Lazard.
Yeah, I know one of them was Lazard. I couldn't remember who the other one was. Oh God, I don't know.
Lazard is the one that was like obnoxiously open.
Yeah, Lazard, that was ridiculous. And I mean, I get not wanting to pass Alan Lazard. I wouldn't want to either, but still, that's just. I mean, it's just at that point, it's like everyone knows who Aaron Rodgers is throwing to at that point, and I mean the Niners could tell. And at that point, if you're the smart quarterback, you try to fool the defense. You don't try to just go for the world.
He was just chucking it to Adams. That's it.
He was just trying to finesse. Yeah, he wasn't even trying to finesse. He was just trying to get on the all-time highlight reel again. But it didn't work out. Niners got the ball back into field goal range. Robbie Gould, Bears legend, right down the middle. He seals it. Dude, the Packers call was Oh my god, it was like snaps offline and Gold kicks it and it is down the middle and the San Francisco 49ers advance. I mean, it's just like, how could you even tell the snap was awry? Like they can't even see it. Like what are they? I don't even care. I'm getting too upset. But sent the Packers out of Lambeau. Oh god, it was a great feeling. A great feeling. Packers, they were terrible. Aaron Rodgers had just it is hysterical how bad he is in the playoffs. Like so, it is. I mean, he's not like a bad performance wise. It is just hysterical how he has only won one ring with all the talent he has
Yeah.
and all the talent on his team and all the talent on his offense and on his coaching staff. How he's only won one ring and he got sent out of his own stadium by a team who plays in California, who are like terrible in cold weather environments. And of course, everyone's pulling for the Packers. Everyone thinks the Packers are going to win this game because you'd be stupid not to. But
Then
I mean, it's
again,
just the Niners. I mean, what were you saying? Like you go. Like I'm not going to ramble here. I've done too
then
much of that.
again, the Niners have been known for over the last decade to beat the Packers in the playoffs. I don't think
That's true.
I think
Yeah, I
Aaron
think they've
Rodgers is
played-
0-4 against the 49ers in the postseason after this game.
Oh yeah. Ultimately, it was the Niners defense that really pulled through. That obviously that front seven we talked about or we've heard endless things about. Nick Bosa, that one linebacker whose name Salt always forgets and I always forget, who's also really good. Um, crap,
Say it again.
whatever, it's okay. That one linebacker who we always forget on the Niners.
Fred Warner or no the Aziz
Warner,
one.
there's another guy. Warner,
Aziz
there's another. Yeah,
Aziz.
Aziz. Yeah, no, Warner, Aziz, Bosa, they were all killer. Niners front seven really took control of the game. There was not. It really wasn't like the Niners really kind of outmaneuvered the Packers. It was just kind of they kept momentum up on defense. They got lucky on offense, and that was really all they needed to score more than 10 points against Green Bay.
Yeah.
And Green
And
Bay just couldn't muster anything. I don't know. It was
it was a
Rodgers got
special.
cocky.
The defense held the fort, and the special teams had the 10-point swing that won it in the end. That's the true summary.
Essentially, yes. It's kind of underwhelming to describe it, especially for me because I'm trying to get so much pleasure out of describing the Packers' downfall. Admittedly, but it's a hard game to summarize. It's kind of like the Titans Bengals game where it's just I mean, what's the implication for the Packers? Okay, is it like that? I mean, is it like that? Aaron Rodgers is like fine. This is finally it for the guy. Like, I mean, we've been talking about this for a year now. Is Devontae Adams leaving? I mean, he can still get franchise tagged. I mean, the Packers cap situation horrendous, but I don't know. We'll see how they maneuver it. I mean, Ian Rappaport said today that that apparently he said that Adams is. I mean, there's no way Adams is leaving. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Or I'm paraphrasing. I'm paraphrasing slightly, but I mean, there's just not that much to really gain from this. And the Niners. I mean, you said it. You said it's all. I'll give you credit. You were the only one of us who had faith in the Niners to win this game.
It's the PTSD hidden.
I should have given you more credit because you had the experience of playing them, so you understood what their game plan was and how deadly that defense was at stopping some really premium offenses.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get into it later, but I mean, stopping Dallas, stopping Dak Prescott, stopping Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, and then they're coming up against Matt Stafford and the Rams at SoFi. I mean, it's gonna be a fascinating discussion to have in a little bit, but yeah, I mean that's basically all I got in this game. It was pleasurable to watch. I had a ton of fun, and it was a good Saturday night game, I would say.
Yeah.
Well,
And
moving on to the Sunday slate.
yeah, some very and these first two games were close and had their entertainment value, but oh boy did it ramp up with the Sunday slate. First
Yeah.
game
I
between.
swear to God, to like that Sunday alone, I debated to myself like about 4 or 5 separate times that I had to ask myself: is the NFL actually rigged? Is this all fabricated? Like,
Um,
That was nuts.
considering the outcomes and how everything happened, like, how could you not do that? I mean, I guess I don't know if I'm just being like really cynical or what, but like, I don't know, man. It's a conspiracy, man. No, I'm all right. Well, let's just talk about the Rams game.
so the Rams just absolutely dominated the first half against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were able to just get stops. Their defensive line was impressive and put Tom Brady in hell, especially with the absence of Tristan Wirfs. Great games for like Von Miller, Aaron Donald did his thing, and they just put the Buccaneers offense in check. And well, the Rams got off to a hot start, and well, it was 23 at halftime, and it was looking extremely well for them. Um, they were going to try to make it 27, but they fumbled, which would be a story of the game. They would eventually make it 27-3, but then the turnovers would go crazy. They would start to fumble more and more, and with each fumble represented an opportunity for the Buccaneers to get back in it. 27-3, one less point than the cursed 28-3. And the Tom Brady started to chip away at that lead. Get it to 27-10 as the fourth quarter went on. He got 17. I think he got it to like they might have gotten another field goal or somewhere, or like 17. Then it got to 27-20, uncomfortably close. And like, holy crap, were there a lot of just lucky breaks, whether it's from the turnovers, whether it was just from Mike Evans absolutely reverting back to his prime and beating Jalen Ramsey, or it was getting a very fortunate, I would say, pass interference call. The Tom Brady absolute luck was kicking into play, into hyperdrive to get him back in. And, well, what happened? They tied the game with less than a minute. But as the infamous saying goes, too much time left on the clock for, fill in whichever quarterback. And let's just say that Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp came up big twice. Stafford just hitting Kupp to get it to start, and then another to get into field goal range, just absolutely wide open, clocks the ball for, you got to get that spike off, and Matt Gay would hit the game winner. And this is just a dramatic oversimplification of that game, just because of how my memory is not going to do it enough justice, and it won't do the next game enough justice either. But
Yeah.
my God, we were in for an just absolutely crazy game.
I was like, look, while I was watching, I was trying to think of what the reasons I gave for picking the Rams over the Bucks last week, because I was like gonna do this narcissism tangent today and just talk about how I was right. But honestly, I think it was just that the fact that I had him going to the Super Bowl. Why I had him going to the Super Bowl? Why I hadn't been the Bucks? Who knows? But honestly, I can't even recall. But you could see why they would. I was one of the Stafford optimists, obviously, and I think he's done really well for himself so far in the playoffs. I don't think you
Yeah.
can really complain about. I think he's matched the level of expectations you want out of him. And I think now he's got a really, really nice road to the Super Bowl. But again, we'll get into that later. But
Yeah.
yeah, it really felt like it was like a Ram centric game up until like really fourth quarter. Like Bucks defense really woke up, and then Brady got some really good drives, and that's all I really needed to get back into it. And then Leonard Fournette's touchdown run. It
Yeah.
wasn't much, but everyone
But
was
oh
so
my
into it. It
god,
was like
what
might as well
my big
might as well
thing,
been a 70-yard Hail Mary.
my big thing with the final defensive drive for the Buccaneers was why was Todd Bowles dialing up the pressure and not putting emphasis on the coverage? That was very weird to me.
Yeah, that was weird. That was really weird.
But yeah,
I guess that's how it
that
rolls.
was
Who
a
knows?
wild match, and now we may be looking at the fact that Tom Brady may have played his last game, and the NFC South is seeing a lot of big shakeups because uh, not only that, but Sean Payton has left his post as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, and we're looking at who last year were the two best teams in that division could be, depending on what happens with Brady ultimately. They could be slipping big time next year because,
Yeah,
well, you're going from like Tom Brady to Kyle Trask, and you're gonna like Sean Payton, who's a great coach. He's gonna be on his way out. We could see like some 8-win Atlanta Falcons team take that division next year.
Potentially. I mean, considering like okay, so the Panthers are still going through a rebuilding process. The Saints, I don't think the fact that they're losing their longtime coach is going to kill them. I mean, the fact that they still got to deal with this bad salary cap situation, like a horrible one. They're like $80 billion in the hole.
Yeah. And
Also,
that division is gonna be rough as hell.
as
I mean, I'll
well,
say this.
ultimately the caveat is will Tom Brady retire because there will still be a power in that division if he
Well,
is.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I'm
Yeah.
kind of going off us assuming Brady's gonna retire. Um, I mean, I guess they would luck out that Aaron Rodgers is going to hit the trade market same year as that. But I mean, I don't think the Packers would trade the fuck.
That would be fucking
They
crazy. Imagine like
That
go
would
from
be
Tom
wild.
Brady to Aaron Rodgers, man.
That would just be wacky. I'm not sure if the Packers would trade him. I mean, I probably would if he could get a good return, but I don't know.
Yeah.
apparently
It,
Antonio Brown's also trying to sue the Buccaneers. So it
oh
feels
yeah,
like
I heard about that.
just
Man, I feel like we're going to be revisiting that so much in the offseason.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
not so much,
that
but
kind of
at least once or twice.
and that kind of ties into the whole thing about Bruce Arians and his position may be in jeopardy I don't know. I'm not gonna like say, I'm not gonna take everything Brown said about Arians. Like I'm gonna say it's 100% true. But if it was, then he's got to get out of his position. There's no
Well, he
way.
seems like he seems like a player's guy. I think he's pretty secure right
He
now.
also, but yeah, but the big controversy in the end is does he make guys go through injuries with like their pain tolerance? Does he test it? Because that's what happened with Tristan Wirfs in the wild card game, and it cost Wirfs the ability to play today.
That's
Um,
true.
so yeah, I mean we'll see, but I think the big thing in the end with the Buccaneers season is that it was supposed to be this ride, the perfect magic carpet ride back to the championship, and it tells you, it's hard to repeat. It's hard to keep everyone. It's hard to keep everyone happy, and things can unravel quickly. And if Brady really says this is the end, it can really unravel quickly for them. And
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're looking at the departure of Chris Godwin potentially, and some others as well. I mean, it's going to be a interesting off season in Tampa Bay after spending the year 2021 just in pure delight and joy. Uh, the year 2022 maybe return to the same old before the Tom Brady era, depending on what Tom Brady does. But it's it's going to be it's going to be wild. As for the Rams, they're back in the NFC Championship after a 2-year absence. Um, Sean McVay is looking to get his chance at redemption in the Super Bowl, and the Rams want to get their longtime star player, the best defensive player in the entire league, Aaron Donald, that championship that has eluded him throughout his career. Um, so it's gonna be It's going to be a ride. It's going to be a fun ride to see how they match up against the Niners, which, well, history doesn't favor the Rams here, but surely with what they've accomplished, you have to feel some sort of confidence for them going forward. But I guess it's now time to talk about the other AFC game, which, in my opinion, um, to me, it felt like the true AFC championship. It felt like this came too early. This came too soon. But it had to come now nonetheless. And we had two quarterbacks who would refuse to lose. Patrick
That's a good way to
Mahomes
put it.
and Josh Allen going at it. Um, Josh, I have a cannon arm, and I'm going to hang my nuts on your defense, Allen, against Patrick the Grim Reaper Mahomes. Um, we'll get to that part later because that's a badass quote if I've ever heard one. I have a
Oh, that's an understatement.
I have a friend who's a Chiefs fan, and for his birthday, I'm gonna get him one of the shirts with like the quote. But I'll explain the quote later. I mean, most of you who listening to this have probably heard it, but started off with a Bills touchdown, and the Chiefs responded to the touchdown. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes both excellent in those two drives. Came to a bit of a standstill before the Chiefs started to take the lead, and it looks like they were pulling away for a bit. I mean, the Bills would chip in, they would make it close, but the Chiefs would start to pull away, and that was really the story of the game. And just another player that had an insane game. Gabriel Davis went for 200 yards receiving, who, I mean, in Stephon Diggs just getting doubled and not really getting open. I mean, him being that threat that Josh Allen went to, it was amazing. I mean, the third quarter, Josh Allen had that beautiful just pass given to him where he just overthrows the two safeties that are trying to get him. Davis just going down, touchdown. Um, one of the like best throws I've seen all year from any quarterback. Um, and it was a little bit of a tease into what we got in the fourth quarter, where we just had a close game and we had dueling drives and leads being exchanged. Um, and my God, was it crazy? I think the Chiefs had the lead. I'm just gonna look at ESPN. Like I'm gonna just look at the ESPN summary because it's just so much to remember.
In the last
Uh-huh.
2 minutes of the game, there were 25 points scored.
Yup, it was absolute.
Pandemonium. I thought I turned on an arena football game with how lackluster the secondary was those last 2 minutes.
And to say both of these teams have had very key injuries on their secondaries. Tyrann Mathieu got hurt early in the game for Kansas City, and obviously the Bills were reeling from the injury of
What?
Trey White from Thanksgiving. And so let's just talk about the fourth quarter. Obviously, Bucker kicked it off early, made it 26-21. Within the 2-minute warning, Gabriel Davis, he got a really nice, I think it was a fourth down conversion touchdown from Josh Allen, which was basically season saving because that would have been over. It was like 4th and 10. They really needed it. Gabe Davis gets it wide open. Beautiful. Then Tyreek Hill gets a big play, amazing touchdown. Not even a minute later, with a minute 2 left, to go up 29-33. Then with 13 seconds left, the Bills get another touchdown. And they go up 36-33. Obviously, I should point out that the first Gabe Davis touchdown then led to a 2-point conversion, but obviously the second one. 13 seconds left, 36-33. The Chiefs need to get into field goal range. And my descriptions of these drives don't do it enough service how quick and efficient and how dominant these offenses were. 13 seconds left for the Chiefs. And when things are grim, be the Grim Reaper. And that's what Patrick Mahomes did. Getting the ball to Tyreek, who, I mean, I think that play, and like, I think that the Bills, Leslie Frazier did an awful job signing the coverage on both of the plays on that drive. Um, just they gave too much space to Tyreek. They let Kelsey block for him too, obviously, and then they had their timeout, and then they just one more play gets Kelsey, and they drove down the field, setting up Harrison Bucker, one of the best kickers in the league, for a 49-yard field goal, which he of course hits. This is where the controversy comes in. Steven, in a movie that we both love, the Bills were asked, "What's the most you've ever lost in a coin toss?"
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and
That's funny. That's good. That's good. That's good. Oh
the
my
coin
gosh.
toss controversially decided who won the game, because let's be honest, whichever offense was getting that ball was scoring that touchdown, and it was the Chiefs.
Absolutely.
And Patrick Mahomes led his team down the field in front of the home fans and got the winning touchdown, which ended the season for the Buffalo Bills. And that was the most they've ever lost in a coin toss. Um,
Oh man.
It's a shame too, because like definitely if this game, like, God, I wish had normal overtime. I mean, we're talking about it. This game was already an instant classic as it was. Just those last 2 minutes, like in terms of quarterback play, that was porn for the eyes of just seeing how well these
yeah.
two played. Not only just in
Absolutely.
the fourth quarter, but even the entire game. Definitely, I haven't watched Okay, I've been watching football for about 12 or so years. This was the best quarterback duel I've ever seen in a football game, like hands down. Like these two,
It's up there for me. I'm not sure if it beats Goff Mahomes back in 2018, but
Yeah.
it's definitely up there.
like honestly, like I said this before the predictions. If there was a man to walk in the Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs, it was Josh Allen, and he did exactly that. He had about as perfect of a game as you
I
would
would
from him.
argue that Josh Allen
He was
played a better game than Mahomes did.
He did. I mean, he was 27 for 37, 4 touchdowns. I
Yeah.
mean,
Hey, here's an
I mean,
interesting stat. Josh Allen had 9 touchdowns these postseason and had 12 incompletions for a comparison.
That's
yeah,
so
and
ridiculous.
it sucks that his playoff run has to end so early because of a stupid overtime system that really does only works in the regular season and not in really the
Yeah,
NFL post.
because the whole thing, there's like a win probability argument about the sudden death. Look, that 52% is because in the regular season, we see poor offenses take the field and not convert. But in the postseason, when we're in situations like this, we see offenses with the firepower to do it. Kansas City, Buffalo, even though they were, neither offense was up to snuff because the Niners defense was hot. San Francisco, Dallas, Los Angeles. I mean, you look at Cincinnati, you look at all these teams that are just extremely capable of just getting a touchdown at will. And of course, it's going to be unbalanced in the postseason.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I
Yeah,
think,
I saw that too. I saw that too, and I definitely see the argument of why. I mean, it's definitely that difference is not statistically significant, but again, you look at this duel, especially between these two players. It's odd to put it up to a 50-50 chance, especially in a game of skill like this. You know,
yeah.
I totally get what you mean. It's one of those. It's hard to explain. It's just one of those things that just like does that. It might not. It might not show up in a quantifiable argument, but you can make arguments against it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what?
It's
If
weird
you
to
ask
say though.
me, if you want my opinion on it, they should do how the NHL, they have a modified overtime that's not the same as the regular season.
Yeah.
Honestly, they should do the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm fine with whatever, just an overtime. Like I'm fine with a timed overtime period. I get it, and I'm fine with not having college rules. I get not college rules. Definitely not everyone's cup of tea.
I don't
get
think
that.
college rules. I don't think college rule. You have to play a proper football drive, and college rules aren't that.
Yeah, and that's why I suggest, and you know what, I would really love the college overtime rule because I really like how it's. I really like if you set it about. Don't have it. I think at college is at 25 at the 25-yard line. Have it like the 30 or 35 where it's a little further back,
You know what
but
I
you
would
still have.
suggest? Do
But
not the only so I have two pretty good suggestions that come to mind. Either one, you do a 10 to 12 minutes. I'm not sure what would be better. 10 to 12-minute overtime period that you are to play out in full, or you are going to play proper regulation level possessions that are untimed and are based on possession wins like college football. So you have to both score and prevent an equal score, but in normal football possessions. I do not want to see any version of college rules. You automatically start at even back at the 30. Hell, even at the 50, I wouldn't like that. I just don't want to see that.
all right, but okay, so that's fair. But you know what? My suggestion is very simple, and you don't really have to do a lot. 10-minute overtime period. You play it like a fifth quarter. The overtime ends is when the clock expires. They play the full quarter, no matter how many times one team score. I mean, no matter if one team scores on their first three possessions, and the other team is at zero, has scored none. You play out it in, and most points at the end wins. That way, both teams get good opportunities to drive down the field to make good defensive stops that matter. That's just
Yeah.
how it is. That's how I
me,
think it.
For me, overtime is just the simpler the better because you get things you start over like where you're starting at the 50 yards. You see stuff like that just overcomplicates the whole process.
Yeah.
You need something like I think either you have to show you can you have to show you can score in a possession and stop an equal score in that same possession to win the game. I think that's perfectly fine. I think the 10-minute quarter is fine. I mean, you'd probably have to do a little bit more research into that for like a
I think
17-minute duration game.
in
But
the end,
I mean, yeah, it's simpler better.
no game should end with a touchdown. That should unless the
Yeah,
clock is going to 0.
And
no game should end with that touchdown.
At least the safety is understandable because even though the other team's not touching the ball, it's like I mean they got their points and won. So, but yeah, it's just to me like you can't look. I understand the win probability standpoint would still favor whoever wins the coin toss, even if you do a 10 to 12-minute quarter, 12-minute way less so than 10. But it's still just stupid from an optical standpoint to not give the other team the chance to touch the ball. And that's just how I view it. I think you need going out without being able to touch the ball in overtime is very stupid.
Determining something that significant in a game of skills by luck is just dumb.
Yeah.
It only benefits in regular season games when you actually have to get games done at a certain time because there's upcoming games and the network needs to put on those other games, to not upset the fans. It only works like that when you're under a time restriction. In this case, I can't say most. All NFL games in the postseason are uncontested and are on different networks, so you don't have to worry about going over time, or taking like 30 minutes to decide a game.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
there you have it.
yeah. So yeah, classic game. A little bit of a controversial ending there, but a classic game nonetheless. And I guess
I wish Madden brought back like that Madden moments where you could play like stuff where you can play like historic drives from the season like they had in the old Maddens. I wish they would bring it back because this would be that game to like really have fun at.
yeah,
And try
either side with the Chiefs or the Bills would be just really fun. Dude, imagine how difficult it would be doing the 13-second drive in Madden.
Yeah.
That would be pretty wild. But now that we got that down, yep, it's time for some predictions. What game is being broadcast first? Let's talk about whatever game is being broadcast first.
That would be Bengals Chiefs.
All right.
AFC Championship.
That's
Who
the first game. That sucks.
who is the first team? Who are we picking here? So okay, before this, I just want to say I went 3-1 last week. Damn you,
I
Tampa
went
Bay.
0-4.
That's tough.
I lost every, and that it's more painful because all these games were decided by a field goal.
Yeah. Hey man, you might have covered the spread a couple times. Yippee. Actually, I feel like a lot of those times the favorites lost, so not really.
If only I were, I'm aware. If only if I were the legal age to bet, I would make big money.
Is it 21 Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's different per state. It's like I think it's 18 over here. But anyways, uh, so Chiefs versus Bengals. Who are we taking here? I'm just gonna lay it down, and I'm gonna say it with extreme confidence. Extreme confidence. Kansas City. They are going to wipe the Bengals off the earth.
Yeah, you need like an all-time Joe Burrow revenge game to make this one close, and I mean close, not like ahead, like close.
Look, if we
So
look at look at the
give me a
Chiefs
Chiefs here.
at Arrowhead in the playoffs. If Josh Allen couldn't do it with that performance, who's going to do it? To be honest, Kansas City.
Yeah, that too.
What are
I
you
think
What are you gonna
I
think?
think Reed's gonna see. He's gonna, he's watching film of that Titans game, and he's gonna see. Oh yeah, Bengals O line's not that good, and he's gonna stack that box literally every single play and rush 5 or 6, and
Well,
they're gonna
you're
be
gonna have to be careful with because Burrow. He's very cerebral, good with the pre-snap, and there's a lot of weapons that can get open. But I can kind of get what you mean.
yeah. And honestly, I mean the Bengals secondary. I mean they had 3 picks, but that was more of a Tannehill error than them, making really good plays.
Well, their
So
secondary is not like elite, but it's fine. I mean, it's not stopping Mahomes, but then again, which secondary is?
exactly, I was about to say it's not. I think Mahomes is gonna easily break through that. I think the Chiefs are gonna win.
Yeah, I, and when I say wipe out face of the earth, I might exaggerate. This could be like a 2 possession, 3 possession. I know the Bengals beat them earlier in the year, but that was a home game, and going to Arrowhead is
And
a whole nother
and that was
beast.
That
when
was
Mahomes was mid.
that's
That was not playoff Mahomes. Playoff Mahomes and regular season Mahomes are different.
and you know what? That game took place. I think what was it was middle of the season. I'm
No, it
pretty
was
sure.
week
No, it was
17.
late.
It was week
No, no,
17.
no. Okay, I was about to say. Never mind. Whoops. I was about to say that game had good expect because the Bengals. I think were gonna make the. I think they had to clinch the playoff for
They
that.
clinched the division. Yep.
Yeah, but you know what? With both these teams playing for I mean, this is equal. You know, equal stakes right now. Get to the Super Bowl. I mean, that game against the Chiefs. I mean, the Bengals were more or less playing for their own destiny. The Chiefs were. I think they locked up the AFC West by that point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Chiefs win. Hoorah! Mahomes is gonna go to his 3rd straight Super Bowl against
Yeah.
3 different squads potentially.
It could be a
Uh,
rematch depending on what we think here. Are we going to go with the
potentially, yeah.
Rams or are we going to go with the 49ers?
Okay, so here's the deal. I said originally, don't forget I said this, by the way. Rams win the NFC, win the Super Bowl. Okay? Rams are in the NFC Championship game. Granted, I thought it was going to be against the Bucks. Okay? I won't deny this. But I'm going to still take, I mean, still against the Niners. Niners, I still got my question marks. Kyle Shanahan was not outcoaching Matt LaFleur. Their defense was heavy carrying against the Packers offense that is iconic for struggling in the playoffs and was also a bit shorthanded. And they're still going to be. I mean, granted, it's in California, so I guess it's closer. and more natural environment. But they're going to be at SoFi, which is like the Roman Coliseum. Again, I keep reiterating how important home field advantage can be
However,
for the Rams. I mean,
Niners
it
fans are
killed
gonna go
Kyler Murray.
crazy in there, though. There's gonna be a
Yeah,
lot of Niners
Sure,
I
fans.
feel like
Sure, but there's going to be it's going to be nuts for the Rams, and it's still going to be big for them. I just don't see a huge advantage and any really big capacity for the Niners here. I think their defense could give Stafford a challenge. But then
Yeah,
again, so did the Bucks, and he still came out with 30 points. So this is an easy Rams for me.
look, I've been doubting the Rams all postseason, and I don't want to make the mistake again. So,
That was the Niners all postseason.
look,
So we're on this different side of the same coin, yourself.
look. I am picking the Niners, not because I doubt the Rams, not because I doubt McVay, not because I doubt Matthew Stafford anymore, but because you look at the history of these two teams and who is the one that always comes out on top, the 49ers, because no matter how good, no matter how bad, no matter the struggle, no matter the highs, Kyle Shanahan's 49ers have had the upper hand on Sean McVay's Rams. And you could say, well, there hasn't been a game as high stakes as this one, and you are correct. But it's not like we haven't seen it with high stakes before. Just go back 3 weeks ago. And while this may seem very contradictory to what I said about the Chiefs and the Bengals game, I am willing to take the contradiction because this contradiction aligns more with history. I think that when you look at it, the 49ers know how to get to Stafford. And guess what? They also know how to scheme well, get open, and get Debo the ball against the Rams. Debo Samuel absolutely performed well. Their defense, once they got together, performed well. And to me, I think that you look at it, that game stakes was the Niners getting here. They're not here without that game. We can be seeing an entire different postseason right now. The Niners very well could have knocked out two teams that on their way could be playing each other right now if it wasn't for the mere fact that that those two teams played the 49ers. The 40 yeah, and look, the Rams were good. They beat a very tough opponent. But the 49ers are the definition of battle tested this postseason. The 49ers had to get through Dallas, whose point differential was elite. And you know what? Say what you want about stat padding against the NFC East. They still had a good differential. Yeah, their overall record against non division opponents wasn't the best. But their differential against non division opponents was good. They just lost a lot of close ones. And you know what? That happens. That happened in that game. Green Bay, you can have your doubts about Dallas, but Green Bay was undoubtedly the team that everyone thought was and earned the title of being the favorite coming into this postseason. And what did the Niners do? They went into Lambeau, and was it ugly? Yes, but they won. And they've been winning these games ugly, but they've done just enough. And I think they'll continue to do just enough. This isn't me doubting the Rams, but this is me just looking at history, me looking at what the Niners have done, looking at their success, and thinking, look, if there is a team that's going to lay down the sword and kill the 49ers machine that's just been rolling, it's that team in Kansas City. But right now, it's not. They're not playing the team in Kansas City. I like the Rams a lot. I think that Matthew Stafford could beat could completely outduel Jimmy Garoppolo and give them the win. I think that the Cooper Kupp can just go off and give them the win. I think Aaron Donald and Von Miller can wreak havoc and give them the win. But the 49ers have playmakers on their own. They have a head coach of their own that can respond to all those challenges and equalize it. Now, there's a key caveat to this. I think if Trent Williams is not able to go for the NFC Championship game, the best tackle in the whole league, then yeah, we can talk about the Rams being my pick here. But I think if he's raring to go and the Niners are all good, I think that this is their game. I think they'll win it. I think this will be close. Just as the first game in SoFi between the two teams this season was. But I'm just not going to back down. I think that this is their year in the NFC.
I mean,
Link, what are your thoughts? I don't know if you're going to be a top in salts
man,
explanation here, but
I feel like this is definitely a harder one to pick than Chiefs Bengals.
It
And I
is.
think it's gonna be a lot more competitive. I mean, you look at this. I'm reminded of the '99 NFL season. The Jacksonville Jaguars. They went 14-2 that year. Their only 2 losses, Tennessee, and they went ahead, still made the playoffs. Got the number 1 seed, made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. Who they lose to? The Titans. The Titans were the team that beat them. Were the only team that beat them through that entire season. Now the Rams, of course, they've lost multiple opponents, so that doesn't really matter. But I feel like that kind of storyline still applies to here. I mean, I don't feel like home field advantage is going to play that big a deal because honestly, I think it's going to be a 50-50 split between two fan bases.
The Niners are like 2 hours away, and SoFi is like smack dab in the middle of LA. It's going to be big for the Rams. It's going to be big for the Rams.
It's 5. Well,
or it's 5 hours away.
San Francisco is 5 hours north of LA, but their fans still travel well, and they have a fan base established.
The Niners play in Santa Clara.
Yeah, well, even then, the Bay Area is 5 hours, 6 hours away, just depending on what part. Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, but then again, the Niners, considering all that that's been happening, the Niners, I feel like they had the strongest fan base in California. Think about it. Think about all the teams that played in the entire state. The Chargers, they left to LA. They banned San Diego. LA just came here recently from St. Louis. The Raiders, they moved to Las Vegas. All these teams moving around, the 49ers have been in the same place in the San Francisco Bay Area. And that's why I think they have such a cult following in the West Coast. But, what I think a big question on the 49ers side is Elijah Mitchell, I think he's still questionable, but I know he's not 100% sure if he's going to play this game against the Rams. That's going to hurt them for the running game. I know they'll probably give Debo the ball and have him run a bit, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's definitely going to be. I think it's a tough call, but I think the Niners are going to win this game and return to the Super Bowl.
I'm going to sound hypocritical here, and I'm totally willing to accept this. And I think this is going to end up being the exact opposite for you guys again. If the Niners come into this game and prove they could beat the Rams, I'm picking them over the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Interesting, because that was the opposite sentiment I've had.
At that point, there's nothing stopping them. If they prove they can beat Dallas, if they prove they can stop Dallas, Green Bay, and the Rams in one playoff show, with all three of those teams having very solid quarterbacks. I mean, Mahomes is a different breed. Playoff Mahomes is a different breed, but at that point, you got nothing to lose.
Yeah, and I think it's very funny how we have the opposite sentiments here. As I'm like, the 49ers machine. I mean, the only thing stopping him is Kansas City at this point. And you're like, even if they can beat the Rams, then you're confident.
yeah, exactly.
And that's interesting. I mean, we'll see how the games go down if the matchup is Niners Chiefs. If we both still have the same sentiments about it, because that can certainly change watching how those two games plays out if we get the results. But
it'll be exciting to discuss.
This is tough because I've been doubting the Rams, but I don't have much confidence in my Niners prediction. Not as much as I did when I picked them against Green Bay. I
don't think anyone had any confidence in their Braves predictions for the World Series, and look how that turned out.
But look, I think they have a great shot here, and I mean, in a lot of the ways, the Niners are somewhat similar to the Braves, and you were bringing it up in their road here. I mean, I think don't get mad, Link, when I say this. I think the Niners, on paper as a team, look nicer. But I mean, both teams are showing up when it matters, and I mean that's what matters. And both made me very sad. But yeah, I mean, we have a contest and a very interesting one at that. So
hopefully I get one of my predictions right this week. At least one of.
You picked the Chiefs, man. You should be good. You should be good.
Should. All right.
We'll link our predictions, live and die together. Steven, they do in the AFC. They do in the
Indeed.
AFC.